My wife confessed I was pregnant but didn't know whose it was, so I ended it. My hands shook remembering the night she lied about a dentist appointment. I knew then our marriage was over, but someone else refused to let it end that way. I am sitting in my car outside a 7-Eleven at 2 a.m. writing this, because I cannot go home, and I cannot stop shaking. 4 days ago I thought I had the perfect life. Now, I don't even know who I am anymore. I am Marcus, 29, married to Sue, 27F, for 3 years, together for 7 total. We met in college. She was the smartest person in our economics class, and I was just some guy who sat behind her hoping she would notice me. Somehow she did. We built something beautiful together, at least I thought we did. My best friend Dov 29M has been my brother since we were 8 years old. We grew up 3 houses apart, went through everything together. First crushes, high school, college applications, my wedding day where he was my best man. When his wife died in a car accident 2 years ago, I held him while he cried and promised him he would never be alone. Sue never really liked Dov before the accident. She thought he was immature, too much of a player, before he married Lisa. Dav had jumped from relationship to relationship, and even after he settled down with Lisa, he kept cheating on her. Sue especially didn't like him, and always wondered how I could be friends with someone with such low morals. So when Lisa died and I watched Dav fall apart, I asked Sue to help me help him. My thinking was that Sue had lost her dad to pancreatic cancer during college, and I had seen how devastating that was for her. Maybe she could understand his grief in a way I couldn't. Maybe someone who had been through loss could reach him when I couldn't. God help me. I asked her to help him because I thought she was the only person who might be able to get through to him. She started bringing him meals when I was working late. They would text about his grief counseling appointments. She would update me on his progress, like she was his case manager. Dav seems better today. Dav laughed at something I said. Dav is finally sleeping through the night. I was proud of her. I thought my wife was helping save my best friend's life. About 4 months ago, things started feeling wrong. Sue would get texts and smile in ways that seemed different. She started going out more, meeting Sarah for drinks or helping Dav pick out new furniture. When I would suggest joining them, there was always a reason I couldn't. I started paying attention. Sue would mention having lunch with Dav on days I knew she was supposed to be at work. She would come home from errands smelling like his cologne, that expensive stuff Lisa used to buy him. I started asking questions. Where had she been? Who was she texting? Why was she spending so much time with Dav? She would get defensive, call me paranoid, say I was being controlling. When I mentioned how much time she was spending with him, she'd snap at me. I am helping your friend like you asked me to. Now you are complaining about it. The more I questioned her, the more distant she became. She started going out even more, staying out later. When I would ask where she had been, she would get angry and say I didn't trust her. This went on for months until one day Sue said she was going out for the weekend. She told me she needed to go stay with her sister because she needed some space from me since I kept making her crazy with my accusations. I was still suspicious and called her sister to confirm if she was expecting Sue to visit. She confirmed she was, but Sue hadn't arrived yet. Here is the thing. She had left around 3 p.m. and her sister's house was about a 4-hour drive from where we live. It was now 10 p.m. Something in my gut told me to go to Dav's house. I drove over there and sure enough, my wife's car was parked a few steps away from his house. At this point it was crystal clear what was happening, and I hate to admit it, but I cried. Hard. After a few minutes, I decided to go inside to see if what I thought was happening was actually happening. I went in through the back door, which I knew would be unlocked. I quietly walked in and could hear my wife moaning. I was shaking. When I got to his bedroom door, I could see through the crack. I found them in his bedroom. On the bed Lisa used to sleep in. Sue was on top of him and they were completely absorbed in what they were doing. They didn't notice me at first. I stood in that doorway watching my wife with my best friend and I couldn't move. I felt like the world had just ended. When they finally saw me, Sue screamed and scrambled to cover herself with the sheets. Dav jumped up, grabbing for his clothes, stammering, fuck, Marcus. Wait, but I couldn't hear anything else over the ringing in my ears. I felt like I was going to throw up. My legs were shaking so bad I had to grab the doorframe to keep from falling. All I could think was this isn't real. This cannot be real. But it was real. My wife, my best friend, in his dead wife's bed. I don't know how long I stood there. Could have been seconds. Could have been minutes. Dav kept trying to say something, but the words weren't making sense. Sue was crying and saying my name over and over. I turned around and walked out. I could hear them behind me, Sue calling after me. Dav still trying to explain something, but I just kept walking until I got to my car. I have been driving around for 4 days, sleeping in my car, showering at the gym, eating gas station food. I cannot eat, cannot sleep, cannot think about anything else. I told work I had a family emergency and they gave me time off. Sue has called 247 times, I counted. She has sent dozens of texts ranging from "baby, please come home" to "you are scaring me" to "I know you are reading these." Dav sent exactly one text. "I am sorry, man." That is it. 21 years of friendship, and he gives me 4 words. I keep seeing them together every time I close my eyes. I cannot get the image out of my head. The way she looked at him, the way she moved with him, things she had never done with me. How long has this been going on? When did it start? Was it before or after I asked her to help him? Did I set up my own betrayal? I don't know what I am supposed to do. Part of me wants to drive to his house and burn it down. Part of me wants to go home and pretend I never saw anything. Part of me wants to drive my car into a tree, but mostly I just want to understand how the 2 people I loved most could do this to me. How they could look me in the eye every day knowing what they were doing. I thought I knew them. Now, I don't know anything. I want to die. I want to disappear from this world, but I am too much of a coward to do it myself. I am trying to be strong, but my resolve is wavering. How can someone you love do this so carelessly? I don't know what to do. How do I deal with this? Please help me. Update 1: I went home yesterday. Sue was waiting for me in the kitchen, where we used to eat breakfast together every morning before work. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. She started talking before I even sat down, crying, apologizing, reaching for my hands that I kept pulling away. She kept saying "I love you" over and over, like it was some kind of incantation that could undo what I saw. I finally stopped her. "How long, Marcus? Please. Let me explain how long." "Sue, 3 months. 3 months. While I was working extra hours to pay for the vacation we were planning. While I was picking out Christmas presents for both of them. While I was lying next to her every night thinking about how lucky I was to have found my person. She told me it started the night I worked late and she brought him dinner. He was having a panic attack about something that reminded him of Lisa. She held him while he cried. And then, it just happened. Just happened. Like they tripped and fell into bed together. She swore it meant nothing at first, that she tried to stop it, but Dav was so broken, and I was always working, and she felt needed in a way she hadn't felt in years. "So this is my fault?" I asked. "No, God, no. That is not what I mean. I don't know what I mean. I am so confused, Marcus. I love you. I have always loved you. But what I feel for Dav is different, and I don't understand it, and I hate myself for it." She begged me not to leave, promised she had cut off all contact with Dav, go to therapy, do whatever it took to earn my trust back. But then she said something that made my blood freeze. "This doesn't have to end our marriage. People work through affairs all the time. Affairs like this was just some random hookup with a stranger. Not my best friend since I was 8 years old, not in his dead wife's bed, not for 3 months of calculated deception." I left without saying another word. 2 hours later, she sent me an email. "I am going to share parts of it because I need someone else to tell me I'm not crazy for thinking this is fucked up. Marcus, I know you are angry and you have every right to be. What Dav and I did was wrong, but I need you to understand that this isn't some sleazy affair. We didn't plan this. We were both helping each other heal from different kinds of loss. Him from Lisa's death. Me from feeling invisible in our marriage. I am not making excuses. I am trying to explain that what happened between us came from a place of genuine connection and pain, not just lust or boredom. I have never stopped loving you. Even in my worst moments with Dav, I knew I wanted to come home to you. You are my husband, my partner, my best friend. Dav is something else, something I cannot name or understand. If you can forgive me, if we can work through this, I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I will cut contact with Dav completely. We can move away if you want, whatever it takes. But please don't let 21 years of friendship and 7 years of love die because of 3 months of confusion. I am still your wife. You are still my husband. That has to count for something. I love you, Sue read it. I have read this email about 50 times and I still cannot wrap my head around it. She is talking about their genuine connection like that, makes it better. She is calling it 3 months of confusion, like she got lost in a shopping mall instead of fucking my best friend. And the part about feeling invisible in our marriage. We had date nights every Friday. I brought her coffee in bed every weekend morning. I listened to her talk about her work problems even when I didn't understand half of what she was saying. But apparently none of that mattered when Dav needed comforting. My family knows now. I told my parents and my sister because I needed someone to talk to who actually knows Sue and Dav. They are all saying the same thing. This isn't something you come back from. My dad, who has never sworn in front of me in my entire life, said fuck them both. Son, you deserve better, my mom cried. She loved Sue like a daughter. She trusted Dav with our spare house key. My sister wants to drive over to Dav's house and slash his tires. Part of me wants to let her. I have been staying with my parents, sleeping in my childhood bedroom surrounded by high school trophies and college pennants. It feels appropriate somehow, like I am 17 again, and my whole adult life was just a dream. I met with a lawyer yesterday. He says I have grounds for fault-based divorce given the adultery, but it might be easier to just do no fault. Either way, he recommended I start documenting everything and avoid doing anything that could be seen as harassment or revenge. The best revenge, he said, is living well. Right now I cannot imagine what living well even looks like. Dav hasn't tried to contact me again. I heard from a mutual friend that he is telling people he fucked up but isn't giving any details. Like this is just some minor mistake instead of the complete destruction of 2 decades of trust. I don't know if I am angrier at Sue for cheating or at Dav for betraying our friendship. Maybe it doesn't matter. They both chose each other over me, and now I have to figure out how to build a life that doesn't include either of them. The hardest part is that I still love them both. Even after everything, part of me wants to forgive them and go back to the way things were, but I cannot unsee what I saw in that bedroom. I cannot unknow what I know about how they have been lying to my face for months. I don't know how to stop loving people who destroyed me, but I am going to have to learn. Update 2. I thought I would hit rock bottom. I was wrong. Sue figured out I was staying at my parents' house and showed up yesterday morning while they were at work. I found her sitting on the porch steps crying when I came back from the gym. I have been here for 3 hours, she said. I will wait however long it takes. I should have called the police, should have driven away. Instead, I sat down next to her because seeing her in pain still does something to me that I hate. She looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes, hair unwashed, wearing the same clothes I had seen her in 2 days earlier. She has lost weight. I ended it, she said immediately. With Dav, it is over, completely over. I didn't respond. I told him I choose you, that I always chose you even when I was making the worst decisions of my life. He didn't take it well. What does that mean? He said. If I was going to throw away what we had for a marriage that was already dead, I was stupider than he thought. That hit me like a physical blow. Already dead. Sue started crying harder. That is not how I see our marriage, Marcus. That is not how I have ever seen it. But Dav, he said things. About us. About you. Things I should have shut down but didn't, because I was so deep in my own confusion. What kind of things? She was quiet for a long time. Then, he said you were boring, that you worked too much and never took risks, that I was wasting my potential settling for someone who would never surprise me. Each word felt like a nail gun to my chest. My best friend had been telling my wife I wasn't good enough for her. While I was working overtime to support our life together, he was convincing her I was mediocre. And you believed him? I was vulnerable. Lisa's death reminded me how short life is, and Dav made everything feel urgent and passionate in a way that she trailed off, in a way that I didn't. You want me to be honest? Sometimes, yes. You convinced me to help someone I actively disliked, and somewhere in that process, I discovered parts of him I never knew existed. Dav is unpredictable, he is intense. Being with him felt dangerous in a way I haven't felt since I was 20. I sat there absorbing the fact that my wife had just told me the plan I had been so proud of. Getting her to help him because she didn't like him had completely backfired, that her hatred had somehow transformed into attraction. But dangerous isn't real life, she continued. Dangerous isn't building a home together or planning for the future or holding someone while they have food poisoning. You are real life, Marcus. You are safety and stability and unconditional love. And I threw all of that away because you asked me to help someone I thought I could never care about. And I was wrong. She reached for my hand. I didn't pull away this time. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know I have destroyed something beautiful. But if there is any part of you that still loves me, I am begging you to give me one chance to rebuild what we had. Then she started laying out these elaborate plans to fix our marriage. We could move to another state, start fresh, where no one knows what happened. Or we could try an open marriage. She would let me have affairs too, to make it fair. Or we could go to couples therapy for a year before making any permanent decisions. Every suggestion was more desperate than the last. I realized she had spent the past week coming up with increasingly crazy ways to avoid losing me. That is when I asked, "Is there anything else? Anything you are not telling me?" Sue went quiet, really quiet. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I cannot handle any more surprises. If there is something else, I need to know now." She started crying harder. God, Marcus, I don't know how to. Just say it. I was pregnant. The words came out in a rush last month. And I got rid of it because I didn't know whose it was. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. You were pregnant? I couldn't tell you. What if it wasn't yours? What if it was his? So you just went, and I went alone. I told you I had a dentist appointment. I remembered that day. She had been quiet when she came home. I had made her soup. I remembered that day. She would come home quiet and withdrawn. Said she had a bad reaction to the Novocaine. I had made her soup and rubbed her feet while she lay on the couch. I had been taking care of her while she recovered from aborting a baby that might have been mine. How many other lies? I asked. How many other times have you looked me in the eye and lied to me? Marcus, how many? She flinched. I had never yelled at her before in 7 years together. I don't know, she whispered. I stopped keeping track. That is when I knew it was over. Not because of the affair, not because of the pregnancy, because she had stopped keeping track of her lies to me. I want a divorce, I said. Please don't say that, please. I will do anything. You already did everything. You did everything, except tell me the truth. I left her sitting on my parents' porch and drove to my lawyer's office, filed the papers that afternoon. When I got home that evening, my mom told me Sue had waited another 2 hours before finally leaving. She had asked my mom to give me a letter. I haven't opened it. I don't think I ever will. Later that night, I got a call from Sue's sister. Sue had taken a bottle of sleeping pills. Not enough to kill herself, but enough to end up in the hospital overnight for observation. I went to see her. I don't know why. Maybe because despite everything, I couldn't let her face that alone. She was awake when I got there, looking small and fragile in the hospital bed. I am sorry, she whispered when she saw me. I didn't mean to manipulate you. I cannot imagine existing in a world where you hate me. I don't hate you, I said, and I meant it. I hate what you did. I hate what this has become, but I could never hate you. Then why will not you fight for us? Because there is no us anymore. You made sure of that when you chose him over me every day for 3 months. She started crying again, but quietly this time. I never chose him over you. I chose the feeling he gave me over the responsibility I felt to you. That is different. No, I said. It is not. I stayed with her until her sister arrived. Then I left. I haven't seen her since. The divorce should be final in a few months. I am moving to Portland at the end of next month. Got a job offer I had been sitting on for a year. Sue will be okay. Her family is rallying around her, getting her into therapy, making sure she is not alone. She will recover from this, and hopefully learn something about herself in the process. Dav, I heard from our mutual friend that he has been cut off by most of our social circle. Turns out people don't like it when you sleep with your best friend's wife. His parents know what happened. Sue's sister told them. He might be moving back to his hometown. As for me, I am taking it one day at a time. Some days are better than others. I am in therapy too, trying to understand how I missed so many signs, how I can trust my judgment again, But I am not angry anymore. I am just tired. Tired of loving people who couldn't love me the same way back. The hardest part is accepting that the life I thought I was building never really existed. It was just a story I was telling myself, while the people I loved wrote their own story behind my back. But maybe that is okay. Maybe it is time I started writing a new story entirely. Final update: it has been 6 months since my last update. I am writing this from my apartment in Portland, looking out at a city that still feels new and full of possibility. The divorce was finalized 3 months ago. Sue didn't contest anything. I think she knew she had no ground to stand on. Moving cross-country was exactly what I needed. New job, new friends, new routines that don't remind me of the life I used to have. I am a completely different person than I was when I first posted here. The anger is gone. The hurt is mostly gone too, replaced by something I didn't expect. Gratitude. I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. For 7 years, I was married to someone who was capable of lying to my face for months while sleeping with my best friend. For 21 years, I was best friends with someone who thought so little of me that he actively tried to undermine my marriage. If Sue hadn't gotten pregnant, if she hadn't had that abortion, if I hadn't asked the right question at the right moment, I might have lived my entire life never knowing who these people really were. I could have grown old with Sue, never knowing she was capable of such deception. I could have been Dav's best man at his next wedding, never knowing he had been telling my wife I was boring while fucking her in his dead wife's bed. The betrayal hurt, but living a lie would have been worse. Sue tried to contact me a few months ago through my sister. She wanted me to know she was doing better, that she was in therapy, that she understood now why what she did was so destructive. She also wanted me to know that she and Dav weren't together. Apparently, once the thrill of the affair ended, and they had to face what they had destroyed, they realized they didn't actually like each other very much. My sister told me Sue is living with her parents now, working part-time and trying to figure out what she wants from her life. She had a stroke about 2 months ago. Stress-related, according to her doctors. She is okay, but it has left her with some mobility issues. Her family has become protective, limiting who can see her because her mental health is still fragile. As for Dav, he moved back to his hometown like I heard, but the story followed him. Small towns don't forget scandals like this. Last I heard, he was having trouble finding work because everyone knows him as the guy who betrayed his best friend. His own parents barely speak to him. I should feel satisfied by their suffering, but I don't. I mostly just feel sad for the people we all used to be. But here is the thing, my life is genuinely better now than it was when I thought I was happy. I am dating someone. Her name is Rachel. She is 31. A graphic designer who moved here from Chicago. She knows the whole story. I told her on our 3rd date because I never want to build another relationship on incomplete honesty. Her response was perfect. So you are telling me that when people betray you, you have the strength to walk away instead of accepting less than you deserve. That is exactly the kind of man I want to be with. We are taking things slow, but for the first time in years, I am excited about the future instead of just comfortable with the present. I have also reconnected with friends I had lost touch with during my marriage. Turns out, when you are not spending all your energy trying to make a broken relationship work, you have bandwidth for other people in your life. My career is thriving. The job in Portland turned out to be everything I hoped it would be. I am being considered for a promotion already. I am in the best shape of my life. I joined a hiking group and started rock climbing. Sue used to complain that I never took risks. Well, hanging off a cliff face, 200 feet up feels pretty risky to me. I even got a dog. A rescue mutt named Charlie, who is probably part German Shepherd, part Golden Retriever, and part Tornado. He is the best roommate I have ever had. The only thing that still bothers me sometimes is wondering if I could have prevented all of this. If I would paid more attention, asked different questions, been a different kind of husband. But my therapist helped me understand that you cannot prevent someone from betraying you. You can only control how you respond when they do. I responded by refusing to accept a life built on lies, by choosing my self-respect over my fear of being alone, by betting on my ability to build something better rather than settling for something broken. It was the hardest thing I have ever done, but it was also the most important.